subscribe, like, and comment, because some secrets don't stay buried. And tonight's story proves that the truth always comes back for blood. The rain had already erased most of the footprints by the time police lights cut through the darkness. A narrow service road behind the college stadium glistened like black glass, the air heavy with the smell of wet grass and gasoline. An abandoned sedan sat crooked near the tree line, driver's door ajar, engine cold. Inside the car, detectives found a phone vibrating endlessly on the passenger seat. The screen lit up again and again with the same name. No one answered. By sunrise, the campus was buzzing with whispers. An openly gay college student, charismatic, well-known, and impossible to ignore, had vanished after leaving a late-night gathering. Friends said he'd seemed distracted, pulled aside by a call that changed his expression. He promised he'd be right back. He never returned. Detective Aaron Hale arrived with a knot already tightening in his chest. He'd worked disappearances before. The first 48 hours were everything. Lose the trail, and the city swallowed you whole. Hale scanned the scene. The car didn't belong to the missing student. No signs of a struggle, no blood, just silence and the steady drip of rain from the leaves overhead. They started with the phone. Messages piled up like unanswered questions. Some were harmless, class chatter, inside jokes, but others were urgent, coded, panicked. "We need to talk. Not here. You promised." Timestamps clustered close to the moment the student vanished. Campus security footage showed him walking alone toward the stadium lights, hood pulled low, checking over his shoulder. Then, just before the cameras lost him, another figure stepped into frame. Older, taller, familiar enough that the student didn't hesitate. The name surfaced fast. A local man with no official ties to the university. Clean record, quiet life. The kind of person who blended into the background. Neighbors described him as polite, private, careful, too careful. When detectives knocked on his door, he didn't answer. Inside, lights flickered. A television murmured to an empty room. As hours turned into a day, pressure mounted. Social media ignited with speculation. Candlelight vigils formed on the quad. The missing students' parents flew in, faces drawn tight with fear. Hale stood between them and the cameras, offering measured words he'd spoken too many times before, with following every lead. But the leads were slipping. A search of the suspect's phone records revealed long gaps, burner numbers, late-night calls that ended abruptly. Then came the detail no one wanted to say out loud. Messages suggesting a secret relationship, a connection the suspect had hidden from everyone, especially himself. By nightfall, officers tracked the suspect's vehicle heading north, away from the city. A patrol unit followed at a distance. Then the car swerved, accelerated, and vanished down an unlit road that led into miles of woods. When police finally reached the clearing, they found the car again, this time still warm. The trunk was locked, and when they forced it open, the smell told them everything before they saw a single thing. The woods went silent as the trunk lid creaked open. Flashlights cut through the darkness, beams shaking just enough to betray the tension in every officer's hands. Inside, they didn't find what they feared most, but what they found was almost worse. A tarp, mud-soaked, drag marks scored into the dirt behind the car, leading away from the clearing and disappearing between the trees. The suspect was gone. By morning, the case exploded. National outlets descended on the campus, turning quiet sidewalks into corridors of microphones and cameras. The missing student's name echoed across screens and headlines, his smile frozen in photos pulled from social media. Friends described him as fearless, unapologetic, someone who refused to hide who he was. Investigators began to understand that his openness may have put him directly in the path of someone who lived in constant fear of being exposed. Detective Hale sat with the evidence laid out like a map of betrayal. Phone records confirmed it. Months of secret communication between the victim and the suspect, late-night meetings, heated arguments, promises made and broken. The relationship wasn't a rumor, it was real. And according to messages recovered from a deleted cloud backup, it was unraveling fast. One message stood out, sent just hours before the disappearance. "I won't be your secret anymore." That sentence changed everything. Investigators theorized the confrontation had been planned. The suspect had insisted on meeting somewhere secluded, away from campus, away from eyes. The stadium service road fit perfectly. What didn't fit was how clean the scene was. No blood, no witnesses, just enough evidence to suggest careful preparation.
Search teams combed the woods for days. Dogs traced scent trails that abruptly ended near a riverbank. Divers searched the water. Nothing surfaced. It was as if the suspect had dissolved into the landscape, taking the truth with him. Then, a break came from an unexpected place. A co-worker of the suspect contacted police, voice trembling. She'd noticed strange behavior in the weeks before the disappearance. Sudden mood swings, paranoia, a fixation on being watched. The night after the student vanished, he'd shown up late for work with scratches on his arms and mud on his boots. When she asked what happened, he smiled and said, "Just a bad hike." That wasn't all. Investigators obtained a search warrant for the suspect's home. Inside, they found a laptop wiped clean, too clean. But forensic analysts recovered fragments from the hard drive. Internet searches conducted in a frantic window of time. How long before someone is reported missing? How to destroy phone data? And the most chilling of all, typed at 3:12 a.m. Can love ruin your life? As the evidence stacked up, so did the danger. Anonymous tips flooded in, some credible, others clearly attempts to derail the case. One tip claimed the suspect had help. Another suggested the victim had secrets of his own, names, messages, plans that never had a chance to come to light. Then, late one night, Detective Hale received a call that froze him in place. A hunter miles away from the original search zone had found something buried shallow beneath fallen leaves. Not a body, but a backpack. Inside were the missing student's belongings, carefully arranged: phone, wallet, keys. And tucked into the front pocket, a handwritten note addressed to someone who clearly never intended it to be found. The note was written in hurried, uneven strokes, as if the writer's hands had been shaking. It wasn't a confession, it wasn't an apology, it was a plea. The missing student had written about fear, about loving someone who refused to be seen, about being pulled into shadows he never agreed to live in. The final line stopped Detective Hale cold. "If anything happens to me, you already know why." Within hours, a warrant was issued nationwide. The suspect's face flooded screens across the country. Gas stations, airports, border crossings. Every mile he put between himself and the crime only tightened the net. 3 days later, a patrol officer spotted a familiar car outside a rundown motel just off a highway cutting through farmland. Curtains drawn, engine cold, no movement. Tactical units moved in quietly, surrounding the building as dawn bled into the sky. Inside the room, the suspect sat on the edge of the bed staring at a muted television. He didn't run, he didn't fight. When officers cuffed him, he whispered, "I never meant for it to go that far." During interrogation, the story came out in fragments. A relationship born in secrecy, meetings hidden behind excuses, a life carefully split in two. When the student demanded honesty, demanded to be acknowledged, the suspect felt his control slipping. Panic turned into rage, rage into something irreversible. He claimed it was an accident, that he just wanted to scare him, that he didn't realize how much force he was using until it was too late. But the evidence told a different story. Planning, cleanup, disposal. A cold, deliberate attempt to erase a human being like a mistake on paper. Weeks later, search teams returned to the woods one final time, guided by information only the suspect could provide. Deep in a ravine choked with brush, they found what had been missing all along: the truth. The student's body, concealed and abandoned, finally brought home to a family that had lived in limbo. The trial was swift and suffocating. Prosecutors laid out the messages, the searches, the lies. Friends testified about the victim's courage, his refusal to shrink himself for anyone. The defense spoke of fear, of internal conflict, of shame, but none of it outweighed the final act. When the judge read the sentence, the room was silent. Decades behind bars, no chance to rewrite the past, no hiding from what he'd done. The suspect stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, as if still refusing to face the one truth that destroyed everything. Outside the courthouse, the victim's parents stood together, holding hands. "He deserved to live loudly," his mother said, and he did, until the end. But the story didn't fade when the doors closed, because investigators later revealed something that never made headlines. In the suspect's phone, missed in the initial sweep, was a draft message never sent, time-stamped minutes after the crime. It read, "I can still fix this." If you think this case was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Stay with us. Some stories refuse to stay silent.